suffering from a housing affordability crisis in the Bay Area. With Project Home, we're going to uncover the barriers to solving this crisis beyond the daily deadline.
KPIX 5's Susie Steimel takes a look at how we got here and what it's going to take to pull us out of this mess.
The housing crisis. It's crept its way into every corner of life in California. You see it on the street if you walk to work in the city, or if you're slogging through a super commute to the South Bay. It's personal. What could be more personal than your home, or lack thereof? It's squeezing up, forcing us out, bleeding us dry, and consuming daily conversations. The housing crisis has its hands on our collective throats, and we are faced with a choice: fight or flight.
I have no idea. On my income, I have no idea where I would go.
Seniors like Linda Owens are fighting to stay. She lives on a fixed income, and her landlord is raising the rent, which could force her to leave the Bay Area.
I know rents are high out there, but I can't afford to go out and pay $1,800, $1,900 a month for a one-bedroom.
Parents like Paul Boehm are embracing solutions in their backyard. He built an ADU for his daughter so she doesn't have to move to Sacramento.
She's a teacher. Her husband is a counselor. So they were not in the tech industry, and they could not afford the kind of housing prices in the Bay Area that most people pay.
So how did we get here, where the average price of a home in San Francisco is $1.4 million? 2 bedrooms are renting for $4,500, and it hardly cools off the further out you go. Home ownership in California is at the lowest rate that it's been since 1950. And homelessness numbers are skyrocketing statewide. More than 8,000 homeless live in Alameda County. Nearly 10,000 live in Santa Clara County, and most counties saw double-digit percentage increases in the past 2 years. And every year we spend more money on the problem. Governor Newsom allocated $2 billion to combat the housing crisis this year. So if spending money on this problem isn't working, what will?
I think the housing crisis has been so hard to solve because there are so many entrenched interests in seeing the status quo remain.
David Garcia is the policy director for UC Berkeley's Turner Center for Housing Innovation.
It really boils down to the fact that we have not produced enough housing to keep up with our population growth and our job growth in our state.
In many ways, the Bay Area is a victim of its own success. Largely driven by tech, the region is home to nearly 4.1 million jobs today. Just after the recession in 2009, there were 3.3 million jobs here. That's a 23% spike in 10 years, adding just under 773,000 jobs. Running parallel to that growth is a failure to build. Supply and demand does deserve a lot of the blame. The state is on pace to build fewer than 100,000 homes in 2019. Economists project we need to be building 180,000 homes a year to pull ourselves out of this mess. Governor Newsom's goal is more than double that. He wants to build 500,000 homes a year to have 3.5 million new homes by 2025.
Each year that goes by is another year where we are falling short of that goal. So I would say it's not looking good.
The cost of construction is also a major factor. The Turner Center released a study this summer that found fees do deter development. In particular, impact fees, which pay for local services like parks and schools and vary widely from city to city. Developers can expect to pay $3.5 million in fees to build a multifamily project in Oakland, and $7.5 million in fees for the same project in Fremont, compared to $1.7 million in fees in Sacramento.
It's hard to have a conversation about how to reform or address impact fees without looking at the underlying causes of our property tax system.
This brings us to what used to be considered the third rail of California politics, Proposition 13. Governor Jerry Brown called it a sacred doctrine never to be questioned. Prop 13 passed in 1978. It caps property taxes at 2% increases each year. So some homeowners and businesses are paying property taxes that haven't changed much in decades, despite their skyrocketing home values. And cities have had to raise fees to build to make up for that lost revenue. A ballot measure to amend what businesses pay might be headed for the ballot in 2020.
Do you support any change to Prop 13?
Oh, I do.
We sat down with the mayors of the Bay Area's 3 largest cities.
So thank you for doing this.
Sure, of course.
we're good to go once he starts.
All right, let's
So-
get started.
All three list housing and homelessness as their top priorities.
You know, I think a generation or two from now, they'll be asking, what did you do about it? And if we can't answer that question in a way that satisfies our own conscience and the conscience of the next generation, I think history will not regard us well.
I want people to recognize that housing is a human right. People die without adequate shelter.
And as someone who grew up poor, and as someone who lived around a lot of people who struggled, you know, it's hard to see the poverty play itself out in such an extreme way on our streets.
They each have hard-to-reach goals. Mayor Liccardo wants to see 10,000 new homes built by 2022. San Jose still needs to build 8,900 more units to attain that. Mayor Breed wants 1,000 new shelter beds by 2020 and is on track to have 817 built by March. And Mayor Schaaf wants 17,000 new homes by 2024. Oakland has built 10,000 new homes since that goal was established in 2016. They say the failure to build put us in this position, and resistance to change keeps us in it.
Well, a lot of communities are more focused on preserving their existing character than recognizing that we all are being harmed by the shortage of housing.
We talked tech.
And we've all been quite complicit in the notion that somehow or another, if we just expand tech campuses in our own cities and generate more tax revenue and more jobs, all will be well, and we'll let someone else worry about the housing.
Strategy.
And I just think that we've made a lot of mistakes and we waste a lot of time with bureaucracy.
And solutions.
Our plan is beginning to work. We've seen rents stabilize, they're not going up anymore, and we've seen evictions decrease by about a third.
They want to change the way we talk about homelessness.
We've got to agree as a Bay Area community that our homeless are ours. They are part of our community.
And don't doubt that housing hits home for them too.
Our focus will be the
None more so than London Breed, who grew up in public housing in San Francisco and says she's unapologetic about the need to bring people indoors.
I do spend a lot of time walking around in the Tenderloin, and I run into a lot of people that I grew up with, and they need help. And, you know, it's heartbreaking.
Time will tell if these three can rally support needed for a regional approach to solve this crisis. On the way, we'll hold them accountable.
Do you blame the small cities for not doing enough?
I think none of us are doing enough.
We'll expose government waste.
We need to make sure that our money, our tax dollars are actually going to what we think they're going to.
And explore solutions that indicate maybe the American dream isn't dead, it just looks different.
People come to us with these real family problems, and we get to solve them. It's really exciting.
Because the stakes are high, the fears are real. Middle and working class are disappearing. It's a corner we've backed ourselves into. So now, how do we find our way home?
So what I found so striking over the past 6 weeks from everyone I talked to, whether it was a politician or a parent, is just how much everybody cares about this crisis. Oftentimes after our cameras turned off, people stuck around to talk about what they think is working or what else they want to see us cover. And that includes the mayors that you just heard in this piece. Their interviews were so good, we didn't want to spare you hearing everything that they had to say. So we put them up on our website in entirety. It's on KPIX.com in the Project Home section. Ken and Veronica.
Yeah, amazing. The guy who was building the unit in his backyard for his own daughter because she can't afford to live in the Bay Area. Susie, what is next in this Project Home series?
There's so much more, Ken, and we're really excited about all the things ahead of us. But on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, the next story that we're going to show you is a deeper dive into what affordable housing really looks like in the Bay Area. There's so many questions about what even is affordable because so much of the area is unaffordable. In particular, we're going to look at one developer who is using taxpayer money to create some affordable housing. But in the process, tenants say they're making it unaffordable, raising rents and causing a lot of displacement. So that's the next story, Wednesday at 11.
All right, sounds good, Susie Steinwell. We appreciate it. Thank you. And we would like to hear your